Hello, BookTube. We have a little mail to go through here, a small mail haul that ends with a box. But first, we have Men's Journal, the latest Men's Journal, the adventure issue, although every issue of Men's Journal is an adventure issue. This one featuring Scott Eastwood, the son of Clint Eastwood, on the cover. With a subtitle saying, Spearfishing, Surfing, and Flying with a Real-Life Action Hero. A real-life action hero who has to grip the sides of his sink every morning so that he can violently, desperately hawk up a lump of flesh-colored phlegm. Yes, quite the action hero. but this has all the usual. Men's Journal is a great magazine. It has all the usual great stuff. But I thought we'd start first with the letters page. The featured letter at the top of the letters page is by yours truly. It reads, I loved reading about the best undiscovered beaches in, quote, the Last Wild Shores. That was the name of the article, The Last Wild Shores. I've been to Isla Holbox and Bahia de Sancho. They're full of natural beauty and friendly people, but beware of shark-infested waters. Men's Journal, of course, gets lots of mail, and they need to shorten and edit things for length. So I thought I would read you my original letter. The original letter that I sent them. Which was to the editor. I loved The Last Wild Shores featured in your latest issue, but speaking for what might be a minority of your readers who've actually been to Isla Holbox, Comoros, Trecomali, Bahia de Sancho, might I emphasize something that only gets a passing mention in your article? Sharks! Natural beauty, yes. Friendly people, yes. Pristine locations, yes. But whether coincidentally or not, most of the places on your list are also positively teeming with sharks. Pack accordingly. And then I signed the letter, thanks, I'll stay home. So I can probably understand why they would edit that. Just well, I thought between us we should have no secrets. And then we'll move on to these three packages. I think this is it for today. And the box that ends this mail haul is emphatic. It's an emphatic box. So there's a big sticker all over. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. I very rarely see this sticker, despite the fact that I am all about the new books. Oh, great. Okay. This is a finished copy. I thought I had a finished copy of this already, but maybe I have the advanced copy. I have read it, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I can't wait to write about it. It comes out in April. This is by Cutter Wood. It's Love and Death in the Sunshine State. The story of a crime that brushes just lightly against the author, and that's what snags him. Well, let's see here. Some of you will have heard the description of this that I read before. The crime at the center of the story is the murder of Sabine Musil-Buehler, the owner and local motel on Anna Maria Island off Florida's Gulf Coast. Cutter Wood, freshly graduated from college and at loose ends, had been a guest at the motel just a few months before it was set on fire and Sabine went missing. When Sabine's blood-covered stolen car is recovered by the police, they begin digging up the beach. 3 men are named persons of interest: her husband, her absent boyfriend, and the man who stole the car. Wood returns to Anna Maria and is drawn steadily deeper into the case as his personal investigation advances, an investigation that soon goes well beyond mere facts. He finds himself driven to understand the intimate details of a relationship and how they could lead to murder. And of course, that description doesn't need any help from me. Obviously, if you read that description or heard it, you would be hooked as well. Especially if you like true crime. If you're a fan of true crime, you can't pass this book up. But I am here to report to you that it delivers. It really does. It's electrically well done. And I'm assuming that from Cutter Wood that he's very young. Yes, he's very young. Okay, so we've got a bit of true crime. That starts us off. And this next one, what is this next one? It's paperback. Oh my. Oh, okay, this is the New York Review of Books. New York Review of Books has a print arm of their own, a reprint arm of their own that is universally praised for its editorial judgment. This is something that isn't particularly well known to me. I believe this will be my first time reading this. It's due. Okay, that's what I was looking for. It's due in April. My April shelves are. Oh my god. This is something called The Kremlin Ball by Curzio Malaparte, translated by Jenny McPhee, and it is. Sounds like quite the story. Perhaps only the impeccably perverse imagination of Curzio Malaparte could have conceived the Kremlin Ball, which he himself characterized as Proust in the corridors of Soviet power. The book is set at the end of the 1920s, when the Great Terror may have been nothing more than a twinkle in Stalin's eye, but the revolution was already accompanied by a growing sense of doom. In Malaparte's vision, it is from his nightly opera box, rather than the Kremlin, that Stalin surveys Soviet high society, its scandals and amours and intrigues among the beauties and bureaucrats, including the legendary ballerina Marina Semyonova and Madame Kameneva, a sister of the exiled Trotsky, who, though still a powerful politician, is so consumed by dread that everywhere she goes she gives off the smell of rotting meat. All right, so, but who is this person? Who is this author? Okay, so Curzio Malaparte is a pseudonym for Kurt Erich Suchert, who was born in 1898 and died in 1957. He was born in Italy and served in World War I. An early supporter of the Italian fascist movement and a prolific journalist, Malaparte soon established himself as an outspoken public figure. In 1931, he incurred Mussolini's displeasure. How did I know that was coming? By publishing a how-to manual entitled Coup d'etat. Well, yes, I would think that would irritate Mussolini. That led to his arrest and a brief term in prison. I'm surprised it was prison. I'm surprised it was brief. During World War II, Malaparte worked as a correspondent for much of the time on the Eastern Front, and this experience provided the basis for his two most famous books, Kaput and The Skin. His political sympathy veered to the left after the war. He continued to write while also involving himself in the theater and cinema. Okay. All right, so this is a Soviet novel by a guy who knew it, who saw it firsthand. I wonder what it will be like. Okay, fantastic. Wow, how interesting. And then the box comes with a big sticker on it. Embargoed! Strictly enforced. I fully intend to comply. I will not make trouble. But I believe I can at least show it to you. Right? I mean, oh, goodness gracious. Always have scissors nearby. I get mocked for it, but they're mighty handy. So I can't review this thing, but I doubt very much that it's something I can't show you. I wonder what it is, though, because I lose sight of embargoes and all that. Believe it or not, that's something that you're much more attuned to when you're working in a retail bookstore than when you're a reviewer. And a reviewer is never jumping at the ball at the ball like that. They've got enough on their plate. They don't need to be getting ahead of things. The only exception being Publishers Weekly, where you not only get the book well ahead of time, but you review it well ahead of time. It seems to be just an accepted thing. Publishers Weekly sort of seeds the ground. Okay, so what is this? Okay, it's a novel. It's called On Brassard's Farm by Daniel Hecht. The author of 6 novels published in 20 languages and 74 editions throughout the world. His novels include Skull Session, The Babel Effect, City of Masks, Land of Echoes, and Bones of the Barbary Coast. He lives in Vermont and teaches at Champlain College. Okay, so this is embargoed. All right, well, that's fine. When is it embargoed for? Early April. Okay, so this is another April book. Let's see what we have here. In a radical departure from her urban life, Anne Turner buys a piece of remote Vermont land and sets up a tent home in the forest. In an effort to escape an unending string of personal disasters in Boston and a desire to leave behind a world she sees as increasingly defined by consumerism, hypocrisy, and division, she hopes to find a kind of peace in this new life. As she writes in her journal, there's got to be a more honest, less divided way to live. She soon learned she was mistaken in thinking a kindly Mother Earth would grant her wisdom and serenity in her new home. I could have told her that. The forest confronts her with unanticipated dangers, aching loneliness, harsh weather, instinctive fears, and wildlife of the sort she's never encountered. It's beautiful, yes, but life in the wild is never easy. When necessity requires her to start work as a farmhand, she quickly discovers that she held similarly childless illusions about small farms. I could have told her that too. Under the stern tutelage of Diz Brassard, the farm's 60-year-old matriarch, and the gentler guidance of Ernest Kelly, an Oneida Indian friend of Brassard's, she learns that what hard work really means. Anne faces her predicaments with determination, but there's lots to learn about the Brassard family, about dairy farming, about herself. If she is to succeed in her new life, she must become as tough and resilient as the rural community she lives in. But she must also learn to accept love, even if it arrives in the most unexpected forms. Okay, well, that sounds fantastic. So I will certainly read it before its embargo date, and then we'll see what happens after that. But that sounds really good. Yeah, I have known many young people who thought how cool it would be to just go out and live in the land, just go out and live in the wild. It's not easy to do at all. It's a mostly miserable experience. People always used to tell me, young people used to tell me, well, you did it. You hiked all the time. You hiked far away. You tell stories all the time. You hiked far away from any kind of civilization and were gone for huge periods of time. Okay, true. But I had canines hunting for me. I had canines bringing me back food. Your back to nature illusions fritter away pretty quickly when you start to starve to death. And I never had to face that worry. So, plan accordingly, as my letter said. So we've got On Brassard Farm by Daniel Hecht. We have Love and Death in the Sunshine State, a true crime thriller of a brainier sort. Sounds really good. It is really good. If it sounds really good to you, you should get it, because it delivers on its promise. If you're into true crime, if you're into that sort of thing, it's really good. And The Kremlin Ball by Curzio Malaparte. In a translation. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to have to learn. It's going to be a pleasure to learn all about it and then read it and see what's what. And, of course, the latest issue of Men's Journal, which I realized I was only concentrating on me letter, so I neglected to look at what we have here. Yes, there's a profile on Scott Eastwood, yes, who is a 5-pack-a-day tobacco addict. So any pictures of him strenuously paddleboarding or doing pull-ups in the morning or whatever are all theater. It's all theater done with lighting and spray-on sweat. He is not capable of it. There's a Rick Bass piece, The Ballad of John Prine, how a modest mailman from Marywood, Illinois, became America's greatest living songwriter. Anything by Rick Bass is worth reading. There's a big piece on modern adventure excursions all throughout America. There's a piece on the environmental protections and the poaching of Rwanda's gorillas. That's going to be tough to read. The hardest thing, I'm sure, I haven't looked through the issue at all, but the hardest thing with that article is going to be any accompanying pictures. The pictures are, do yourself a favor and don't Google them. They're not pleasant at all. Piece on Judd Apatow, the talentless director. Climbing guide. Okay, great. Just another full balanced issue. I just love this magazine. All right, so we have that, and that will do it for now. As flimsy as it is, I believe this is going to be the extent of my mail today. But there's always tomorrow. So I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.